Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about Flipped, written by Wendelin Van Draanen. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. Now, this work by Wendelin Van Draanen is a very interesting work. Flipped is about children, about these two children, and it's about a flipping perspective, a flipping feelings, flipping emotions. Now, this is an excerpt, this is a whole book, but today we're going to be talking about the excerpt, about the introduction between Bryce and Julie Baker. So, Bryce Lofsky and Julie Baker, they're new neighbors. So Bryce moves into Julie Baker's neighborhood. They're new in town, and Julie Baker is very excited because now she has a friend, and she's super aggressive. Now, what we get from the get go with Julie Baker is that she is like a tomboy. When we were introduced to her, she's muddy. She likes to play with, physical sports. She has a ball that she plays around with. She has a dog that she plays around with. She's very muddy, very dirty. She's a girl that just likes to play. So she's very different from a classic, I guess you could say a classic archetype of a little girl that you would think of. Usually people would associate little 7-year-old girls playing with dolls and being clean and having tea parties and things like that. But Julie Baker, her introduction, she's very extreme. She's not shy. She's not held back. She jumps into the van, to the moving van of the Loskis from the get go, and she's moving boxes because she has a huge crush on Bryce. As soon as she sees him, she just loves his eyes, and she just can't, she can't, withstand not being with him for even a second. And so this whole thing kicks off very quickly in the van. Bryce is tired and sick of her from the first day because she's just so aggressive. Again, the fact that men don't really like women that are extremely aggressive to the point where she's in your face. And this little girl, even the father, Mr. Losky and Bryce, they both don't like Julie Baker when we're introduced to her because she's extremely mad aggressive. She's dirty. She's muddy. She looks like a muddy monkey. I mean that's pretty much what we get. She's just a muddy little girl that's jumping off of their stuff. Jumps right in. She's not introducing. When you introduce yourself to somebody, you introduce yourself politely. You come over clean. But her introduction, she's dirty, she's unclean, she's nasty, she's loud, she's disruptive. All these things are just come off as unruly and unnerving, and not a person that you just want to talk to because it's just not pleasant. And automatically she pretty much falls in love with Bryce out of the blue, and doesn't feel that way about her. And again, another thing to take note here is that girls often they develop their emotions more than guys or quicker than guys. So 7-year-old boys, they really don't understand when a girl's interested in them. They feel awkward. They're confused. And so when Julie Baker is pretty much in love in the first couple of minutes, Bryce is just seeing this dirty little girl that's pretty much annoying him, that's overwhelming, that's just too much to bear, and that he just doesn't want to deal with it. His father, Mr. Losky, tries to get Julie Baker to go home, but she doesn't want to go home. She wants to play with Bryce. She wants to be with Bryce. Bryce tries to go inside. Julie Baker runs after him. He was trying to get away from her, but they end up holding hands. And Julie Baker thinks this is a sign that Bryce is interested in her and that she's about to get a kiss. But she doesn't get a kiss. Bryce's mom comes in, and Bryce's mom invites Julie Baker into the house. She leaves her dirty shoes and socks in the front porch. And then Bryce hides in the bathroom, and then the sister, Bryce's sister, comes out and makes fun of Bryce, saying, "Oh, you have a hot girl outside of the bathroom waiting for you." All these things happen within this introduction of these characters. And Bryce, he's a 7-year-old boy. He doesn't feel any type of emotion towards Julie Baker. Julie Baker is pretty much overwhelming, and she's just pouring it on thick from the get go. And Bryce doesn't know what to do because emotionally, physically, mentally, Bryce is not developed in terms of being wanting a girlfriend or anything like that. He's just a little he's just a boy, because like later in the book we learn that emotions change, emotions flip between Julie and Bryce. But in this introduction, what we get is that Bryce is tired. For several years, Julie Baker has been off after him. Her emotions have been over the top. He knows that Julie Baker is just over the top, just aggressive. But Bryce is not interested. At least those adolescence years, those childish years, Bryce is not interested in her, because again, the emotions are just not there. When you flip in this, what's really interesting about this work is that the script gets flipped, and we get to see what Julie Baker's thinking and how she's thinking and her perspective with the matter. And from day one, she was in love with Bryce. She wanted to be with him. She wanted to get that kiss. She wanted to be around him. And they both, and again, this is why perspective is so different. The perspective from Julie Baker and the perspective from Bryce are so different. They both see it differently. They both view their introduction differently. Julie Baker's in love, and Bryce Blosky is just trying to get away from her. There's just they're just not on the same page at the first time that they meet. They're not on the same page at all. So in terms of deeper meaning, in terms of analysis here, we can see how significant this is. The view of Bryce and Julie, it just shows us, um, how people think, the way people move, how emotions can be misinterpreted, how situations. I mean, when Bryce holds Julie's hand, Julie Baker's hand, he's not thinking about kissing her. He's not thinking about any type of intimate moment. He's just trying to get away from her, and him holding her hand by accident is all an accident. But Julie, on the other hand, she thinks that this is her Prince Charming, that she's about to get a kiss, and that this is true love. So one's thinking about running away and horror, and the other's thinking about love. So perspective, the differences in perspective show us how emotions and processing situations can be different for different people. That tells you a lot when you have witnesses, because if two children can be in this situation and view them differently based on how they're reading the situation, that can tell you a lot about adults and how they view situations. And so this work is very, very fascinating because it gives you the different perspectives and the different mindsets of these kids, and how it affects the way in which they view the world. Because Bryce just sees Julie Baker as a huge annoyance, and Julie Baker just sees Bryce as her future man, her future husband. And that's just simply not the case. And everybody's perspective is different. The mom thinks there's a romantic thing going on when she first sees them. The dad think that Julie Baker is obnoxious and annoying. The sister teases them. So everybody has a different take on the situation that's going on between Bryce and Julie Baker. Julie Baker thinks of love. Bryce thinks of running away. The mom thinks it's a blooming relationships. The dad thinks Julie Baker is just obnoxious again, and then the sister is you know is just teasing. And everybody has a different idea, different perspective of the relationship with Bryce and Julie. So there's a lot to take in with this short story. But that's pretty much the introduction. That's the excerpt. That's what happens within it. What's interesting about it is the perspective It's the flip perspectives from both characters and seeing how they process the information and how they process what was going on between them. So that's all I had to say about this short story. Please remember, or this excerpt, that's all I had to say about this excerpt. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.